Hi, and welcome back to Sasha on Style, or I might say, welcome to the first installment of Sasha on Cinema. As some of you might know, I love analyzing and watching movies. Most of my free electives when I was still in university were film studies classes, and I loved being able to relate these back to my fashion classes. I have a great love and respect for costume design and how costume designers utilize visual language to subliminally inform you about different characters. Costumes in movies can actually have a direct impact on the fashion industry at many levels, anywhere from haute couture to fast fashion. There are so many awesome and smart video analysis essays on YouTube already talking about iconic movies like Mean Girls, Clueless, and The Devil Wears Prada, just to mention a few. I have watched and admired these videos for years and knew that I wanted to do something similar one day. I have a diverse love of movies from Jim Henson's Labyrinth to 2000's icon She's the Man to even Bollywood films like Ram Leela. For this episode, I'm throwing it back to an underrated musical, Gigi. I first watched this movie while studying abroad in Japan in 2015 and was struck by the controversial concepts and outfits that make this gem just a little rough around the edges. In fact, I love it so much that I have a poster of it hanging in my apartment, even though none of the costumes shown are actually featured in the movie. Weird. Gigi, a 1958 film by MGM Studios, is a Lerner and Lowe musical. It's set in wealthy Belle Epoque Paris. Gigi follows the titular young teen portrayed by French-American actress Leslie Caron. Other main characters are Gaston Lachey, played by French actor Louis Jourdan, as well as Maurice Chevalier and Hermione Gingold, playing their respective grandparents and former lovers. This is a highly misunderstood film that makes up for its more messy aspects through charm and uniqueness. Plus, I truly don't know how it got past the censors at the time. The story is this. Gigi is raised by her grandmother, Mamita, and has a vague understanding that her family's business is to be the escorts of high society. Gigi's aunt Alicia is a very wealthy retired escort and is responsible for Gigi's grooming to become a desirable mistress who is also intellectual and cultured. Gigi is a strong-willed girl who feels pressured into the life laid out for her, and at heart is still a child. The concept is a bit Lolita, but it is made more palatable by the fact that Leslie Caron, who was depicting Gigi, was 25 years old at the time of filming, was married, and had a child of her own. But let's be honest, it has not aged well that the main character is canonically 14. Gaston Lachey, portrayed by Louis Jourdan, is a notorious Parisian player, grandson to Honoré Lachey, an aging Parisian player. Gaston is the heir to a vast sugar fortune. He has the looks and money to make him a target by women as a literal sugar daddy. Gaston is jaded from his lifestyle of partying and dating because he gets cheated on by all of the finest ladies in town. He enjoys spending time with his family friend Gigi because she's straightforward and a free spirit, which juxtaposes flatteringly against the manipulation he faces every day in his love life. In movie musical fashion, he very dramatically discovers that he is in love with Gigi, forcing her into the very lifestyle that she doesn't want. In the end, the two reason that it's better to be together than without each other. Gaston takes the high road and proposes to Gigi instead of taking her as a mistress. The costumes for this production were done by English designer Cecil Beaton, who was also the designer for My Fair Lady's costumes a mere 6 years later. There's actually quite a few good old Hollywood coincidences between Gigi and My Fair Lady. Gigi having been published in 1945 as a novella by author Sidney Gabrielle Collette and adapted into a Broadway stage play in 1951. This gave Audrey Hepburn her first speaking role as Gigi. Hepburn was the first choice for the film adaptation of Gigi, but ultimately Caron was selected. A few years later, this debacle was mirrored with Audrey Hepburn beating out Julie Andrews for the lead role in My Fair Lady film, even though Andrews originated the role. Gigi was readapted into a fairly successful stage play in 1973, with a revival in 2015 starring Vanessa Hudgens, which unceremoniously flopped in the span of 3 months. But more on that later. The costumes in this movie are modeled after French Belle Epoque style. Historically, this means gaudy large hats, corseted cinched waists, S-curve silhouettes, and bustles. The Belle Epoque took place from 1871 to 1913, World War I breaking out in 1914. In this first scene, we see Gigi playing with several girlfriends in a park loosely based on Georges Seurat's painting, A Sunday Afternoon in the Island of La Grande. Gigi is wearing a tartan set, which is known in the movie universe as the Scotch dress. This has a mid-length skirt and bolero jacket, one of designer Cecil Beaton's trademarks. Underneath is an exposed white blouse with sleeves that balloon at the wrists. Tartan is one of Gigi's signature textiles when she's being portrayed on screen as a child, and it has the connotation of a school uniform. Her friends play while wearing similar monochromatic versions of this outfit in a sailor style, and similar straw hats. Gigi is the only girl in a print, which makes her stand out visually. Gigi's straw hat is also the largest out of the group, giving her a childish or almost cartoonish effect. She wears over this initial outfit a forest green cape. This cape conveys who she is at this part in the story, green to her core and naive. The plaid set is contrasted against her wealthy Aunt Alicia, who lives in a lavish Baroque-style apartment. Aunt Alicia is often seen wearing bubblegum pink with black accents. She is also the only main character to wear pink until later on. The taffeta pink dress establishes Aunt Alicia as the peak of femininity. She often wears form-fitting dresses that are in smooth fabrics. The black accents on them portray a sense of sophistication and seriousness. Her outfits tend to show off her assets, which communicates to the viewer that she maintains a sense of sensuality despite being retired as an escort. Later on, as her escort lessons progress, Gigi wears a more form-fitting blue dress with tartan cuffs and buttons. Her style has matured in this scene, but visually we are being told that she is holding on to her past. In the next training scene, Gigi is shown new gowns by a designer. Aunt Alicia shoots all of them down until the model walks out in a pink taffeta ensemble with black trim, a color palette that is already claimed visually by Aunt Alicia. When Gigi tries the dress on, she is drowning in it. It's entirely too big and has a comical fake flower that blocks Gigi's face. This is a visual message that Gigi really just doesn't fit into the lifestyle that Alicia has modeled for her. In her earliest training scene, Gigi is coached on eating the delicacy ortolan, which is a small bird that is eaten whole without removing any bones. Gross, I know. Eating ortolans has since become illegal in 1999. It took a long time to become taboo despite the cruel and unethical preparation methods, including the birds being kept in the dark for weeks or even forcibly blinded. This bird could be considered a motif in Gigi's finale dress, or a metaphor that Gigi's being kept in the dark and then swallowed whole by the high society who seeks to consume her as an escort. Gigi's blue dress appears mid-movie, but you can see Mamita mending the dress very early on in the film. It's a nice touch on director Vincente Minnelli's part to reinforce the concept that Gigi's family is poor and living off the dregs of Mamita's former career as a mistress. Her dress is a saturated cobalt blue, which is the visual opposite to the red wallpaper and furniture in the room. The visual language is trying to tell us that she's different. She's different from her environment and the expectations of her enterprising grandmother and aunt. The blue gives her a sense of purity, directness, and depth, while the red wallpaper seems screechy and unnatural. This dress has a Peter Pan collar and thick leather belt, which are holdovers from her schoolgirl outfit. The white trim is actually tiny pieces of lace, which is borrowed from Aunt Alicia's lacy motif. When Gigi wins the card game by cheating and goes on holiday with Gaston as a reward, she is seen goofing around with him in a similar blue bathing suit. Gigi's most iconic outfit in the film is the white gown that she wears to the famous Parisian club Maxime's. Maxime's has already been a character in itself throughout the entire movie, with Gaston and his grandfather Honoré treating the club as their high society playground. Maxime's has been established during the movie as the place where high society is cattiest and where well-to-do people go to judge each other. While Gigi has been training for this moment with her aunt, Gaston is horrified that she's mirroring the same expertise and savoir-faire as his previous girlfriend, who ultimately played him. It's actually a very clever parallel that shows the audience Gaston's fear of another materialistic and artificial relationship. Gigi's iconic silk gown is ruched at the bust with 4 black swallow birds at the shoulders. The illusion is that the dress is being pulled up by the birds, which gives the dress a fairy tale vibe. The birds could also allude to the ortolan delicacies or her character's desire to be free from her family's tradition. This date with Gaston is directly playing into her family's plans with her, so the symbolism could be alluding to the heartbreaking notion that there is freedom in captivity. In my research for this video, I saw Twitter user Inside the Mood contrast this dress with a Victorian costume party dress designed by Arden Holt. I was very impressed by this finding, as well as the second comparison to contemporary designer Ulyana Surshenko for a spring 2014 gown. One of the most curious aspects of Gigi's Maxime's gown is the gold glittery crescent moon in her hair. My take is that this moon is referential to Gaston's song Gigi, where he sings about all the changes Gigi has gone through and the changes in his feelings for her. Gigi throughout the entire movie has been going through phases while being pushed to be more mature than she really is. While researching this video, I looked up the specific meaning of this phase of the moon, the waxing crescent. The waxing crescent in the moon cycle is the first stage towards a full moon. That means that this is truly symbolic for Gigi's character because she is taking her first step towards maturity and being a full adult. It was pretty cool to find this out because I truly believed during all of my viewings of Gigi in the past that this was somewhat arbitrary and selected to look mysterious. I have to hand it to designer Cecil Beaton for this very subtle yet meaningful addition to this pivotal costume. Lastly, Gigi contrasts with the other women at Maxime's who are wearing gaudy and flamboyant dresses. Her solid white dress stands out with an emblematic purity that despite Gigi being able to play ball with high society, she has a pureness of spirit. These are my top 3 important outfits for Gigi's character, but there's one more that I should mention. It's probably the most sinister out of all the things we have been visually communicated in the world of Gigi. Gigi's final dress in the movie while married to Gaston is pink. The very last dress that we see our protagonist in before she rides off in a carriage with her husband is a floor-length bubblegum pink lace dress. To me, this is the most heartbreaking part of the movie. Visually, she has transformed into her Aunt Alicia. The most compelling part of Gigi's story to me is even though she is being pushed into a sugar baby lifestyle, it's obvious that she had the integrity to do things her own way. This dress is a visual cue to the audience that she has perhaps compromised her values. This outfit features an obnoxious ostrich feather boa and comical tall hat with what looks to be a squashed bird. The bird has been a motif in Gigi's life and inner conflict, and in the last minutes that we see her, the bird is squashed, which makes me walk away from this film feeling that it's not just a lighthearted French-flavored musical. It's actually a profound tragedy. Even our heroine, who we root for and appreciate for all of her rebelliousness, is still ultimately forced into this mold. She did, after all, marry for love, but she also followed the path that she resisted. It makes me think that this sentiment was not quite intended by the director, but that the costume designer Cecil Beaton took Gigi's visual story into his own hands. Just food for thought. This film challenges the viewer's beliefs on wealth and glamour. It seems that everybody in Paris wants a whirlwind romance with a handsome sugar daddy, except Gigi. Gigi is perceptive and sees through the entire farce, while seeking something more in life. While Disney princesses have a something more song, Gigi sings about the material objects that come with love and how they're still ultimately useless objects. The song I Don't Understand the Parisians calls out the phoniness of love and the pageantry involved. Gaston's character song is an argument with his grandfather in It's a Bore. While his grandfather argues that the best things in life are partying and romance, Gaston angstily replies, "The earth is round, but everything on it is flat." Gaston also wants something more, which is depth and complexity. The story leads you to believe that Gigi can provide this for him, but at the end of the film, neither character has done much to rebel from their destinies, except to face it together. This film also had an influence on Disney, where the characters of Gaston and Lumiere in Beauty and the Beast were based on Gaston and Honoré Lachai. Disney star alumni Vanessa Hudgens also starred as Gigi in a short-lived Broadway revival in 2015. A production that I was actually supposed to see.
I hate saying this because then everyone on Twitter is like, "You're lying, I hate you." I was supposed to be in the video.
No, I
My first viewing of Gigi was supposed to scope out the story before going to see the musical as a birthday treat that September. Funnily enough, Gigi closed months before my birthday even rolled around. Rest in peace, Gigi 2015. At least you had the guts to age up your protagonist to 18. Ultimately, I find this film quite underrated for the quality of costumes and sets. It seemed to have had a messy production where songs were being cut, hastily made up, and they even dubbed over Leslie Caron's singing voice, much to her horror. The story of Gigi is actually based on the life of Yola Lataye, who was similarly groomed as a teen to be a sexual and intellectual companion to older men. Despite marrying a man 49 years her senior, she had many intimate relationships on the side, including the last Viceroy of India, Louis Mountbatten. It was a unique creative choice for them to adapt a story like this for a musical, but I'm glad that MGM did because it's a very human and compelling film. I want to wrap up this video by saying thank you so much for joining me at the Sasha on Style Cinema. I've always admired this video format and spent many hours writing my own script for this episode, even though all of my videos up to this point have been unscripted. If you'd like to see more analytical style content like this video, please throw me a like, comment your thoughts, and please don't click off the video without subscribing. Thank you so much for joining me here on Sasha on Style. I'm Sasha, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!
As happy as we are tonight.